Biologists say they're beginning to see some positive signs in the effort to help bring back a species of migratory shorebirds whose numbers have been declining along the Delaware Bay. But they're worried now that the catastrophic oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico may threaten some of these same bird species that spend their winters in those southern areas. Ed Rogers has the latest in tonight's Environment Report.
The last of the red knots and ruddy turnstones to visit New Jersey during their annual spring migration are beginning to leave the Delaware Bay for their long flight to the Arctic. The number of red knots dropped along the bay from 100,000 in the 1980s to 17,000 in 2005. There were efforts to get the birds on the endangered species list. Researchers say they've counted about 15,000 red knots here this spring. The number has stayed the same over the last 4 years.
They're still in trouble, but they've stabilized. See, what we need is a continued recovery of horseshoe crabs and increase in eggs.
The health and the future of the red knots and ruddy turnstones are linked to the horseshoe crabs. The birds eat the eggs from the female crabs when they stop over on their northbound trip from South America. Researchers say over-harvesting the crabs had cut down on the number of them laying the eggs here. 2 years ago, a bill was approved by the legislature and signed by then-Governor Corzine, placing a ban on taking the crabs in New Jersey. That's helped.
I think it does. I think the fact that there are less crabs being taken for bait, less breeding age crabs, because that's what everybody focuses on, are the breeders. They take 10 years to mature, so the fact that we're taking less of them out of the breeding population is a big thing. I think that in combination with protecting these beaches from disturbance for shorebirds and the settled weather have really created a really good situation.
Scientists say they have seen another important change. The actual weight of the red knots has increased over the last 2 years.
See, these are almost solid fat, and it's a fat that's very similar to the fat that the birds put on. So when they eat these eggs, it's almost immediate weight gain.
It means that the bird populations that have arrived here have found food, and they've been able to fatten, and they've been able to get up to the weight they need to fly to the Arctic and to start breeding.
While this spring's migration has shown some encouraging signs, researchers are concerned that some of the red knots, which spend their winters along Florida's Gulf Coast, could become victims of the massive BP oil spill.
From now on, we're looking for small increases every year to recover this population, and we think it's going to take 10 years. This is what stops it. If we have this oil spill starts impacting the wintering birds, then whatever gain we have from Delaware Bay will be lost to that oil spill.
Researchers are worried that the spread of oil from the worst spill in U.S. history may not be stopped in time.
Really, what the issue is how fast they'll get it cleaned up. If they don't get it cleaned up by September, October, then that oil spill is going to have an effect on our recovery.
Ed Rogers, NJN News, Reeds Beach, Cape May County.